pretty good whammy. Pretty good. Above nearly ideal. Oh man, I really thought that had a chance at point 2. That fourth act was pretty crazy. That last act is really difficult to optimize all around, but especially just in the front end execution of it. It's very similar to the Carry On Wayward Son last act. Yeah, I had 14 after Act 4, which is, I think, the most I've ever had. But part of the reason for that, I think, was because I had got a tick off the solo act. I've only gotten the one, but I've done it a few times now, so there's definitely, you know, who knows how many on there. And the last act, man, I feel like that first phrase was pretty damn good, but the second phrase was a little weak, and the front end execution was just shaky because I was. I'd really like to see if I can get a point 2 on this, but even still, this is pretty cool. I'm happy with a solid increase on this. Your mother. Are we doing this bullshit again? Fuck you, man. Not a chance. Well, there was a chance, but not quite good enough. Fuck. Good enough. Ah, man. This is fucking annoying now. God, thank you. That pace, I was shitting myself on that last act because I seriously, that is the max pace that I've been on before the last act. Holy shit. I had 30 ticks after Act 4. That is fucking insane. So I'm pretty sure that that was a frame perfect fourth act with 2 solo ticks, which is somehow the most I've ever gotten. I'm pretty sure there's some funky like tick rounding calculation that happens in this game because there are so many activations, even acts that include like a lot of whammy, which should give you like a pretty broad spectrum of variance. There are a lot of acts that just seem to give weirdly consistent amount of ticks. And so yeah, I felt like in many runs that I've had much better whammy than others and like still a good front end, and I've gotten the same amount of ticks. But anyway, getting any ticks off the solo is really hard, and when I was first redoing this, I mainly wanted to just see if it was possible, but after a while I started to realize that it probably wasn't even very useful going for solo ticks because the last 2 acts are where ticks are overwhelmingly decided. Of course, that being said, in this particular run, I would have missed point 2 without them. So I clearly knew that they were valuable. It's not that, it's just the chance of getting to the 4th and 5th acts decreased pretty considerably by trying to optimize that solo act as much as possible. But it's also just something else to do because the first 2 acts in the song, I mean, the first act definitely isn't free to get all the ticks off it. You do have to have a decent squeeze and whammy, but there's really nothing going on until the solo anyway. And speaking of the solo, man, that is one of the most irritating charts in this entire game, just with how hard you have to abuse those hit windows to hold ticks. Strangely, the spot that I struggled the most with wasn't those changing frets from orange to blue to red that happens about halfway through. The thing that was actually giving me so much shit in this solo was the very end where you have that orange star power sustain that goes into the blue strum, yellow strum, and then the yellow strum behind it with the fast blue hammer on. For some reason, I just never could get the hang of that timing. Way too many of my runs were dying to that second yellow strum because I would just strum it late, I guess. You have basically no front end behind that note because of the blue hopo. And with trying to hold that orange out the entire way, and you don't even really need to whammy it, I don't think. But just to be safe, I was doing it anyway, and just the combination of all those things made that particular sequence just very prone to missing, and it was very frustrating. One thing though I should note about that solo act is even if you don't get ticks off it, optimizing the whammy for it, which again decreases the chance of making it to the 4th and 5th act, but optimizing that whammy gives you a much better chance of not dropping ticks on the solo act back end, because obviously if you're not trying to optimize the whammy or the front end on it, you have to really kind of push that back end because it is a tight act, and that really increases the chance, even with using extended hit window mechanics, to drop ticks on the orange sustain before the back end. So it did help in that aspect regardless of whether I got ticks off it. Even though this was, like I said, I'm pretty sure a frame perfect 4th act, I do still have something to mention on that act, which is that the preceding green may be possible. I went through it in TAS and it was impossible by 1 frame, but the green front end wasn't lined up properly with the strike line, which ate into the frame window on the front end. So it is possible with optimal frame rate chart alignment that act would be possible. Be worth like, well, from here with the optimal 4th act ticks, I think it would be worth like 130-ish. And even though it feels weird to say, having gotten a frame perfect act on this run, that is not something that I would be interested in shooting for, because Like, obviously I wanted as close to frame perfect of an act on this as I could get, but it's a lot different because your run doesn't instantly die if you lose a frame on it. And again, that's assuming it's even possible. As far as the task findings go in terms of accuracy, I found that they are much more accurate on acts without whammy. For example, the Mr. Fix-It second act and the Can't You Hear Me Knockin' first act. I know for a fact those were frame perfect on hardware 95% of the time, like they were in TAS. So given you have max star power for that act, I'm assuming it would be the same. And I did go for it in dead runs occasionally, but I never got within like a couple frames of it. Yeah, I'm really just glad that Pace pulled through, because again, that last act front end execution fucking sucks for some reason. It shouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I have a pretty decent method, just do a triplet, ascending triplet pattern, but I guess for some reason I just never could get the hang of the strum timing, even with having practiced it. I wasn't sure also if I red flamed the front end in this run. So overall, I'm just really glad this finally pulled through, because this is a hell of a score, honestly, even with the amount that's left on that last act. Yeah, sure. Wow, okay, good enough, I guess. That front end was really good. The last whammy in particular was pretty bad. I don't give a shit. I never need to think about this stupid song again. That 899, it wasn't even really bugging me, it's just I thought I'd clean this up. Fuck this song though. Ugh, man. Goodbye.